I'm Heather, and I'm 8 years older than Madeline, my little sister. From the moment she was born, our parents made it clear that she was something extraordinary. Look at those beautiful green eyes, they'd say. Or, have you ever seen such perfect golden curls? Meanwhile, I stood in the corner with my plain brown hair and ordinary face, watching them fawn over her. Don't get me wrong, I loved my sister. How could I not? She was this tiny, perfect thing that needed constant attention and care. And since our parents both worked long hours to make ends meet, guess who became her second mother? That's right, me. Heather, honey, Mom would say, could you help Maddie with her homework? You're so good at math. Or, Heather, dear, would you mind picking up your sister from school? We're both stuck at work. I remember one particular evening when I was 14 and Madeline was 6. I was helping her with her reading assignment while trying to finish my own mountain of homework. I don't want to read anymore, Madeline whined, pushing the book away. It's boring. Come on, Maddie, I said, pulling the book back. Just 3 more pages. Then we can play that game you like. She pouted but picked up the book again. You're no fun, Heather. Sarah's big sister takes her to the park every day after school. Well, Sarah's big sister doesn't have to work at the library after school, I replied, though it stung a bit. I was already juggling school, housework, and a part-time job at the local library to help with our family's expenses. That was our life, Madeline being Madeline, and me being, well, whatever everyone needed me to be. By 16, I was working 3 jobs, at a cafe in the morning, at the library after school, and doing online data entry at night. Also, we could afford Madeline's dance classes, her private tutoring, her beautiful clothes that made her the most popular girl in school. I kept telling myself it would get better. That one day, Madeline would understand and appreciate everything I did for her. That maybe, just maybe, our parents would look at me with the same pride they showed when they talked about her. But looking back now, I realize I was just telling myself what I needed to hear to keep going. When it came time to apply for college, I knew my options were limited. Not because of my grades, those were actually pretty good, despite working 3 jobs. I had even qualified for several scholarships at out-of-state universities. You got accepted to Stanford? Mom had asked when the letter arrived, her eyes widening for a moment before clouding over. But honey, who would help Maddie with her college prep? And you know we can't afford that kind of tuition. I remember standing there in our kitchen, clutching that acceptance letter, watching as Mom's attention drifted to Madeline's latest art project on the fridge. I didn't mention that I'd been offered a partial scholarship. What was the point? So I enrolled at City College, kept my jobs at the cafe and library, and continued being Madeline's personal support system. During my freshman year, I'd rush from morning classes to work, then home to help Madeline with her homework. Some nights, I'd be up until 2 a.m. finishing my own assignments, only to wake up at 5 for my cafe shift. After graduation, I landed a decent job at an accounting firm and finally moved into my own apartment. It wasn't much, a tiny 1-bedroom with temperamental plumbing, but it was mine. I thought maybe now things would be different. Maybe now I could start focusing on my own life. Then came the phone call about Madeline's graduation dress. Honey, Mom said, her voice taking on that familiar pleading tone, you know how important this is to your sister. She needs to look perfect for her graduation. I felt a bitter laugh bubble up in my throat as I remembered my own graduation dress, a $30 clearance rack special that turned out to be identical to what Jenny Thompson wore. I'd spent the whole night trying to avoid being in the same photos as her. How much does she want for the dress? I asked, already reaching for my credit card. Well, she found this gorgeous designer piece, it's only $800. I nearly choked on my coffee. $800? That was almost a month's rent. But I heard myself saying, okay, Mom, I'll transfer the money. Then came the real bombshell. Madeline had been accepted to Preston University, one of the most expensive private colleges in the state. And somehow, mysteriously, our parents had managed to save up a significant amount for her tuition. We've been putting away money since she was born, Dad explained proudly during a family dinner. Our little girl deserves the best education possible. I sat there, fork frozen halfway to my mouth, remembering all the student loans I was still paying off. All the scholarships I'd had to turn down. All the years I'd worked multiple jobs just to afford my public college tuition. They'd been saving for Madeline's education all along, But it didn't stop there. Within weeks of Madeline starting at Preston, the requests started rolling in. "Heather, sweetie," Mom called one evening. "Maddie needs help with her apartment rent. Just until she gets settled." Then it was textbooks. Then a laptop, because all the other students have MacBooks. Then a new iPhone, because her old one, the one I'd bought her last year, was embarrassing. Food money, clothes money. Every week brought a new expense, a new emergency, a new reason why Madeline needed my help. And through it all, not once did Madeline say thank you. Not once did she acknowledge the sacrifices I was making. To her, I was just the family ATM, endlessly dispensing whatever she needed without question or complaint. 3 years later, I was sitting at my kitchen table reviewing my monthly budget when my phone rang. Mom's voice was oddly excited on the other end. "Heather, you need to come over right now. Maddie has big news." I arrived at my parents' house to find Madeline practically bouncing off the walls, flashing a giant diamond ring. "I'm getting married," she squealed. "And I'm leaving college." The room went silent for a moment before I found my voice. "You're what?" "Oh, don't look so shocked, Heather," Madeline rolled her eyes. "College is boring anyway. Jason makes great money, and we're going to have the most amazing wedding." I felt like I was underwater. All those years of work, all that money, my money, just gone. I looked at my parents, waiting for them to say something, anything. But they just sat there beaming at Madeline like she'd just announced she'd cured cancer. "What about your degree?" I managed to ask. "We've all invested so much in." "Oh my God, Heather, you're such a buzzkill," Madeline interrupted. "This is why you're still single. You're always so practical and boring. Now, let me tell you about my wedding plans." For the next hour, I sat there in a daze as Madeline detailed her vision of a fairy tale wedding that would put all her friends' weddings to shame. The venue, the flowers, the dress, everything had to be perfect, which apparently meant expensive. Then came the bomb. "Honey," Dad said, clearing his throat. "We've taken out a loan, but it's not quite enough. And since you're part of the family, we need you to contribute," Mom finished. "It's your sister's special day, after all." I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience as I heard myself ask, "How much?" $20,000 should cover your share," Madeline said casually, as if she was asking to borrow $5 for coffee. I don't know what possessed me to say yes. Maybe it was habit. Maybe it was the way Mom's eyes welled up with tears. Maybe it was just easier than fighting. But I agreed, and the money left my account the next day. But they weren't done. "Actually, sweetie," Mom said during our next family dinner, "we've been thinking, you could take out a loan too. Just a small one, to help with the extra expenses." For once in my life, something inside me snapped. "No," I said firmly. "Absolutely not. I'm saving for a mortgage. I need to think about my future too." "Since when did you become so selfish?" Madeline demanded, her perfect features twisting into an ugly scowl. I stood my ground, even as my hands shook under the table. "I've given you $20,000, Maddie. That's my limit." The silence that followed was deafening. Then Mom spoke up in that placating tone I knew so well. "Well, if you won't help financially anymore, the least you can do is help with the arrangements." I nodded, already feeling the familiar weight of responsibility settling back onto my shoulders. But something had changed. For the first time in my life, I'd said no to them. It was a small victory, but it felt monumental. The weeks turned into a nightmare. My phone buzzed constantly with Madeline's messages, each one demanding more money for some new, essential wedding detail. Heather, I found the perfect flowers. They're only $3,000 for the arrangements. I need the money by tomorrow, or they'll give them to another bride. Oh my God, this band is amazing. They played at Chelsea's wedding, and I have to have them. They're asking for $5,000. Can you transfer the money tonight? The venue I wanted is available. But we need to put down a deposit today. It's just $8,000. You'll handle it, right? I took a second job as a virtual assistant, working nights and weekends. My days became an endless blur of spreadsheets at my accounting job, wedding arrangements during my lunch break, when I actually got to take one, and then more hours in front of the computer at night. My coworker Jenny stopped me in the break room one day. Heather, are you okay? You look different. I caught my reflection in the window and barely recognized myself. Dark circles under my eyes, clothes hanging loose where I'd lost weight, hair hastily pulled back because I couldn't remember the last time I'd had time to get it cut. I'm fine, I said automatically. Just busy with my sister's wedding. That night, I crawled into bed at 1 a.m., my eyes burning from staring at screens all day. Just as I was about to drift off, my phone lit up with another message from Madeline. Just found the most amazing ice sculpture for the reception. Only $2,500. Need the money by morning, or they'll sell it to someone else. I turned off my phone and pressed my face into my pillow, trying to hold back tears of exhaustion. I'd already paid for the venue, the catering, the flowers, the band. How much more could there possibly be? The answer came a week later when Mom called. Honey, we need to have a serious family discussion. Can you come over tonight? I dragged myself to their house after work, wondering what else they could possibly want from me. I'd already emptied my savings account and maxed out my credit card. The only thing keeping me going was knowing it would all be over soon. When I walked in, I found Madeline sprawled on the couch, surrounded by travel magazines. Mom and Dad sat nearby, looking through a glossy catalog with her. Oh, this resort is perfect, Madeline squealed, pointing to a page. Look at those overwater bungalows. And they have private butlers for every suite. I stood in the doorway, watching as she flipped through the pages of what appeared to be a luxury travel brochure. My stomach clenched as I realized what was coming. What exactly am I doing here? I asked, my voice barely steady. Why did you need me to come over? Madeline looked up from her magazine with that sugary sweet smile I'd grown to dread. Oh, we're just picking out your wedding gift to us. I blinked. My, what? Your wedding gift, she repeated slowly, as if I was having trouble understanding basic English. I've decided you're going to pay for our honeymoon in the Maldives. The room started spinning. I gripped the doorframe to steady myself. Are you kidding me? After everything I've already paid for? Oh, come on, Heather, Mom chimed in. Don't be dramatic. Dramatic? My voice cracked. I've already spent every penny I have on this wedding. Well, it's not like you have anything else to spend it on, Madeline said with a shrug. And it's only $24,000. Something inside me snapped. 29 years of being the good daughter, the supportive sister, the human ATM, it all came crashing down in that moment. Only $24,000? I screamed. Only? Do you have any idea what I've gone through for your precious wedding? Any idea at all? Heather, lower your voice, Dad warned. No, I will not lower my voice. I'm done. I'm absolutely done with all of this. I was shaking now, years of buried resentment bubbling to the surface. You're nothing but a spoiled, arrogant brat, Madeline. And I'm sick of dealing with your endless demands. I have my own life to think about. Madeline's face twisted into an ugly sneer. Your own life? What life? You're 29, Heather, an old maid. Have you looked in the mirror lately? No wonder you're single, you look terrible. What normal man would want you? The words hit like physical blows, but I stood my ground. I looked terrible, because I'd been working 2 jobs, 7 days a week, to pay for your wedding. I haven't had a full night's sleep in months, because of your constant demands. You're just jealous, Madeline spat. Jealous because I'm getting married and you'll die alone. Jealous because I'm beautiful and successful and you're just, you. That was it. The dam broke completely. Successful? You dropped out of the college I helped pay for. Beautiful? Your soul is as ugly as they come. You've never worked a day in your life. You've never thanked me for anything I've done for you. You think the world owes you everything, and you know what? I'm done being part of your entitled little world. I turned and stormed out of the house, Madeline's voice following me. You're nothing but an envious witch. No wonder no one will ever marry you. Behind me, I could hear Mom and Dad joining in, hurling accusations and insults at my back. But for the first time in my life, I didn't turn around. I didn't apologize. I didn't give in. By the time I got home that night, my phone was exploding with messages. Mom had sent at least 30 texts, each one more vicious than the last. How dare you speak to your sister that way? After everything we've done for you. You're nothing but a selfish, ungrateful daughter. How could you ruin your sister's special day? I stared at the messages until the words blurred together, then did something I'd never done before, something that felt both terrifying and liberating. I opened my laptop and started sending emails. To the venue, I need to cancel the reservation and withdraw my payment. To the florist, please cancel the order for the wedding arrangements. To the catering company, I'm canceling the food service for the following date. To the band, unfortunately, I need to withdraw my booking. One by one, I systematically undid everything I'd arranged for Madeline's wedding. My hands were shaking, but my mind was clear. The wedding was only 2 weeks away, but I didn't care anymore. With each cancellation, I felt a little lighter. Then all hell broke loose. My phone started ringing nonstop. When I blocked Mom's number, she started calling from Dad's phone. When I blocked that, she used their landline. Messages flooded in from every possible platform: email, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. I blocked them all. Heather, please call your Aunt Susan. Why won't you answer Uncle Jim's calls? Your cousin Rachel is very upset with you. How could you do this to your own sister? The calls came from everywhere, distant relatives I hadn't spoken to in years, family friends I barely knew, even Madeline's future in-laws. I stopped answering my phone altogether. Then came the physical visits. I was trying to get some sleep when I heard the shouting from below my window. Heather, get down here right now. It was Mom's voice, shrill and angry. You better fix this, you selfish witch. That was Madeline. They stood there for hours, alternating between angry demands and tearful pleas. I turned up my TV to drown them out. The next morning, I spoke to Jorge, our building's concierge. Please don't let them in, I said quietly. I don't care what they say, they're not welcome here. Jorge, who had witnessed their behavior the night before, nodded sympathetically. Don't worry, Ms. Robertson. I'll take care of it. A week later, my friend Kelly called. Have you heard what happened? She asked cautiously. Your parents had to take out another emergency loan to cover everything you canceled. None of the vendors would do it on such short notice without charging premium rates. They ended up paying almost double for everything. I sat there in silence, letting that sink in. Part of me felt guilty, the part that had been programmed since childhood to take care of everything, to make everything okay for everyone else. But a stronger part of me, the part that had finally found its voice, knew I had done the right thing. A month after the drama, I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw them, Madeline's wedding photos. I hadn't meant to look, but a mutual friend had liked them, and there they were. The lavish wedding my sister had demanded had turned into something quite different. Instead of the 5-star hotel venue, they'd used our parents' backyard. The $3,000 flower arrangements had been replaced with simple grocery store bouquets. The expensive band was nowhere to be seen, just a laptop and speakers on a folding table. Madeline was wearing her dream dress, looking as beautiful as ever, but something was off. In every photo, her smile seemed forced, her eyes tight with disappointment. No honeymoon photos followed, the Maldives dream had died with the rest of her grand plans. I closed Instagram and tried to get on with my life. For the first time in years, I was focusing on myself, sleeping regular hours, eating proper meals, even starting to look like myself again. Then, 3 months after the wedding, my phone rang. It was Dad. Heather, his voice sounded tired, older somehow. We need to talk. Can you come over? Something in his tone made me agree. When I arrived at my parents' house, it felt different. Mom and Dad sat on the couch, looking deflated. Dad spoke first. Madeline's getting a divorce. The words hung in the air like smoke. I waited. She and Jason, Mom's voice cracked. They've been fighting since the wedding. He keeps complaining about how cheap everything was, how embarrassing it was that they couldn't even have a proper band. He's furious about the cancelled honeymoon. The thing is, Dad continued, staring at his hands, we took out 2 loans for that wedding. Even the scaled-down version, we're in pretty deep, Heather. I knew what was coming before they said it. We were hoping. Mom began. No, I said quietly, but firmly. But Heather, we're your parents. And I'm your daughter. The one you never saved money for. The one who worked 3 jobs to put herself through college. The one who emptied her savings account for a wedding that shouldn't have happened in the first place. They sat in stunned silence. We realize now that we were partially wrong, Dad said carefully. The way we treated you. I stood up, smoothing my skirt. Partially wrong? You've been wrong about everything. About me, about Madeline, about money, about life. Maybe someday you'll realize just how wrong you've been. But until then, I wish you luck with those loans. As I drove away, I caught a glimpse of my parents in the rearview mirror, standing in their doorway looking lost and small. For the first time, I didn't turn back. Life has a funny way of showing you who people really are. 6 months after Madeline's divorce, I was having coffee with Kelly when she hesitated, stirring her latte with unusual concentration. Have you heard about Madeline? She asked carefully. I shook my head. After the loan conversation with my parents, I'd maintained my distance, focusing on rebuilding my life. She moved back in with your parents, Kelly continued. She's not working, says she's too traumatized by the divorce to hold a job. But she's been dating, a lot. Different guy every week, from what I hear. And your parents? Let me guess, I interrupted. They're supporting her completely. Kelly nodded. Paying for everything, her car, her clothes, her nights out. Even after those wedding loans. I wasn't surprised. Some patterns never change. Weeks turned into months. I quit my second job, finally able to focus on my primary career. For the first time in years, I started taking care of myself. I joined a yoga class, got regular haircuts, bought clothes that weren't just for work. People started commenting on how different I looked. Then came the call I never expected. It was Mom, her voice small and unfamiliar. Heather, I need to tell you something. I owe you an apology. I sat down, bracing myself. Madeline, she met someone. A wealthy businessman. Mom's voice cracked. She left with him yesterday. We don't know where. But before she left, she maxed out all our credit cards. Every single one. The silence stretched between us. Mom, I started, but she interrupted. No, please let me finish. Your father and I are in terrible debt now. But we're not calling to ask for money. We'll figure it out ourselves. We should have done that a long time ago. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. It wasn't a perfect apology. It didn't erase years of favoritism and manipulation. But it was something. These days, I don't know where Madeline is. Sometimes I see traces of her on social media, a tagged photo here, a location check-in there, but she's like a ghost, floating from place to place, person to person. My parents and I exchange brief messages on holidays: Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday, Happy New Year. It's superficial, but it's all I can manage right now. But here's the thing about finally breaking free from toxic patterns: life has a way of filling the empty spaces with something better. 3 months ago, I met James at a bookstore coffee shop. He was reading my favorite novel, and we started talking. He's kind, successful in his own right, and most importantly, he sees me, really sees me. Last night, I was cleaning out some old boxes and found a photo of Madeline and me as children. She was 5, I was 13, and we were both smiling at the camera, unaware of everything that lay ahead. I thought about keeping it, but instead, I put it back in the box. Some memories are better left in the past. As I write this, sitting in my favorite coffee shop with James across from me, working on his laptop and occasionally glancing up to smile at me, I realize something profound. Sometimes the happy ending isn't about getting everything you thought you wanted. Sometimes it's about finally letting go of what was holding you back all along.